Hi, welcome to What's Cooking with Rochelle. Today we're going to make a wonderful breakfast treat, or really any time of the day. We're making cheese danishes. And we're going to do kind of a traditional. I'm going to tell you a couple of things you could do if you want to sub some stuff out. To get started, what we're going to do is we're going to make the filling for it. And the filling of a cheese Danish is 1 block of cream cheese, which is 8 ounces. And we're adding to that 3 tablespoons of white sugar. And then I am adding 2 teaspoons of fresh lemon juice and a teaspoon of vanilla. Now, if you didn't want vanilla, you could use almond or even coconut extract if you want to give it a little different flavor. Then we are also adding 1 egg yolk. So you can see I've already separated the egg yolk from the egg white. Okay, and we are just going to cream this together and make it nice and fluffy. All right, now we've got that creamed. And you're going to see how easy this is. So a lot of the times when you go to the store and you buy a cheese Danish, they do have jelly in them as well as cheese, or sometimes they just use jelly filled. So I have some fresh blueberry jam that I am going to add to a couple of them, and some we're just going to make just cheese. You can see how it's nice and creamed together. If your cream cheese is soft, it'll make it easier. Okay. Now, before we get started in the assembly process, we're going to go ahead and preheat the oven to 350 degrees on bake. And then I have a couple of sheet pans here that I've lined with a silicone mat. If you don't have a silicone mat, you can use parchment paper, or you could grease it and then put it on it that way. So we are using store-bought puff pastry because I'm going to show you how easy this is. And this is 1 package. And all we're going to do is roll it out, as you can see. It is defrosted. So there's a couple of ways you can defrost parchment or puff pastry. And you don't have to roll it. I'm just going to roll it just to get some of the creases out and just even it out just a little bit here. Depending on what surface you're doing this on, you might want to flour it underneath. Just depends. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is cut it. And we're going to be making squares out of this. So each sheet should give us, depending on how big you want them, you can make rectangles or you can make squares. So let's make rectangles today, shall we? So what does that mean? That means I'm going to divide it in half, and then each of these I'm going to divide into thirds. And it doesn't have to be exact. But you're just doing that, okay? So we're going to take our first little guy here, and you are simply going to, with a scooper or a spoon, take a scoop and plop it right in the center. It's as simple as that. Okay, then we are going to take our egg white, and we're just going to beat it for a minute or so. And this is going to be our wash to put on any of the exposed surfaces. Okay. So with your pastry brush or your finger, you are just going to on the outsides of it, brush it with the egg whitewash, and then you can do whatever design you want. I'm going to actually, since we're doing rectangles, I'm going to make mine a little bit more of a rectangle filling. I'm going to grab the corners and then just pull them up. And like I said, you can get decorative however you want. Put a little bit more egg whitewash on it. And this guy is good to go. We're going to put this guy on our sheet pan. And then we'll go on to the next guy. And we'll do some in different designs so you can see the difference. And so to make it easier on ourselves, I'm going to put them on the tray before I fill them. Okay, and I'm going to do a little bit different design on this guy. Like I said, you can be as creative as you want. So what we're doing here is we're going to kind of grab them and braid it. So you're going to take it, twist it, and put it in there. And then we'll do the egg wash here in a second. The egg wash is what just makes the outside look pretty, shiny. Okay, let's do another guy or girl. Okay. And maybe the other batch will make them not rectangles, we'll make them squares, and I'll show you the difference. Okay, so how about for this one we just do a traditional where it's folded up inside. And so you could see, depending on how fancy you want to get, you can make all different kinds of shapes. It's just up to you, what you feel like doing. This one we're going to put a little bit of the blueberry in it, so you'll see. And I'm adding about a tablespoon of the cheese filling in each one. I am going to go ahead and do the other tray in the squares just to show you the difference, but this is just a couple of general things that you can do. You can make it as fancy or as plain as you want. Okay, so I decided to make triangles instead, so let's go ahead and put a little filling in each of these. And these are going to be slightly smaller because I made a few more, so out of the same amount of dough. When you're doing this, if you don't want to add sugar to the cream cheese, obviously you don't have to. If that is sweet enough for you. So for these ones, I'm going to crisscross. And wrap them in between each other. to do a twist on this one. And these are only going to take about 15 minutes in the oven. If you were in a hurry, you could literally put the filling in the middle and put one on top of the other one and call it good. You do not have to do any creative designs or whatever. It's up to you. Okay, we are ready for these to go in the oven at 350 degrees for about 15 minutes until they get nice and golden brown. Okay, so you can see how they've puffed up and we've got our filling and everything inside. These have to cool for a couple of minutes, so we're going to leave these on the stove and we're going to make the glaze. Okay, so our glaze is 1 cup of powdered sugar. To this, we are adding about 2 tablespoons of milk. Any kind of milk. You can even use water if you don't want to use milk. And we're just going to add enough to make it into a glaze. And to this, we are also adding a teaspoon of vanilla, and that's going to give us a little bit of flavor. You could also add lemon juice instead of milk if you wanted a lemon flavor. And if you want to get really fancy, you could use white vanilla extract so that, or what they call clear, so it didn't color it differently. Okay, and you can see we did not need all of our milk. This is the consistency we want. We want a glaze that sticks to the spoon, right? But it does run. And so we are just going to let those cool off for a couple more minutes, and then I'll show you how to glaze them real fast. Look how beautiful those are. They're going to settle for a few minutes, just like the other ones, and then we're going to glaze them. Okay, so these have cooled. You can see how they've kind of deflated. You can see how beautiful they look with the egg whitewash that we did on that. So you're just going to get a little bit of this glaze, and you're literally just going to go back and forth like that. And the reason that you want them to cool slightly is if they're too hot, the glaze will just run right off. And you can see how the different shapes turned out differently. Like I said, play with it and see how you like it. I'm going to do the other tray. And you can keep these on the counter without refrigerating for a couple of days, and then they will start to get stale. Of course, they are best consumed warm. So right after you get done glazing them, you are free to eat. And if you wanted to get festive, of course, you could put any kind of food coloring or anything like that into the glaze that you wanted. Let's give this guy just a little bit more. Okay. These are cheese danishes, and we did add a little fresh blueberries. You could add whatever jam you want, store-bought or homemade. Let's go ahead and get them plated so we can dig in. All right, the best part of the day, eating. All right, wonderful, fluffy cheese danishes. So light and flaky and wonderful. Thank you for watching What's Cooking with Rochelle. Please subscribe if you like this channel. And if you've tried one of these recipes, give me a shout out and let me know how you liked it. Thanks so much for watching again. Bye for now.